Welcome back to our movie on. This time we will discuss the film entitled Second Origin, which was released in 2015. It tells the story of a disaster that attacked the Earth and several people who survived the disaster. Without further ado, we will immediately discuss this film. Don't forget to prepare snacks and enjoy. At the beginning of the film, the situation of a city in Spain is shown. A terrible disaster occurred which caused enormous destruction and wiped out almost all humans throughout the world. Before the disaster occurs, a boy named Didac was trying to repair a tractor while listening to a national radio broadcast. It was reported that the phenomenon of a solar storm was hitting the Earth, causing the temperature to increase. Many satellites were even damaged. But the mechanic came and said the news was just a hoax. While on the other hand, a young girl named Alba is doing her activities and goes into the cave to meet her father, who is a climate change researcher. After taking a videotape of his father's work, he went to the market and met Didac. Didac and his mother were looking after the shop. While in the sky, flashes of light appeared from various directions and several mysterious deadbees were also seen. As Didac's English teacher at Alba's school, he was given a souvenir and gave Didac a little advice in front of his mother. Arriving at home, Alba's father was packing up the results of his research and saying goodbye to the princess to head to Barcelona, without knowing that a very big disaster would soon occur in the afternoon. When Alba was looking for fresh air, she saw Didac being bullied by three young men until he was thrown into the lake. Alba, who knew that Didac couldn't swim, immediately jumped into the lake to help Didac. While trying to reach the sinking Didac, the sky suddenly turned red and a very powerful solar storm occurred. Alba and Didac, who were in the water, did not realize that a disaster was occurring. After successfully climbing onto land, Alba saw flames everywhere. Because their motorbike caught fire, the two of them went to Didac's house on foot and found that Didac's mother had died as a result of the disaster. When the two of them headed to Alba's house, many of the cars were burnt and the passengers inside were also burnt. After walking for some time, Alba took Didac into the cave to get her father's emergency equipment and decided to rest there. In the morning, the two of them continued their journey to Alba's house and were shocked to see that her house in the village had also been destroyed. Alba then tried to contact her father, who had not yet come home, but unfortunately there was no signal at all. Meanwhile, Didac tried to turn on the TV and radio, which didn't work at all when he realized that the telecommunications network was down. Alba charges her cell phone using solar electricity. After that, Alba and Didac went to the city to look for people who were still alive, but unfortunately they only saw a destroyed city plus the stench of the victims affected by the disaster. They then looked for a motorbike that was still functioning, but unexpectedly they pushed Alba, who was not ready, so Alba fell and was impaled by a sharp piece of metal. After arriving home, Alba treated her wound with minimal medical equipment without realizing that she was at risk of developing tetanus. For several days, because the wound was not treated properly, Alba had a high fever and the wound got worse. Alba also told Didac that she needed an antibiotic injection, so Didac immediately went out looking in the city in the middle of the night. After several hours of walking through the pitch-black city, Didac finally managed to get antibiotics and immediately injected them because Alba was already unconscious. While waiting for Alba to get better, Didac visited his mother at her destroyed house and also at the workshop where he used to play. There he also took equipment that he could use. A few days later, Alba woke up and Didac immediately hugged her. Didac was very happy because his beautiful teacher was able to recover. After that, their days were filled with survival, where Alba focused on growing vegetables while Didac helped her. Alba took the initiative to raise a white flag to let the rescue team know. Alba also regularly records her activities with Didac. One day, Didac panicked after finding bloodstains on the mattress and immediately approached Alba, who was washing clothes. Alba told her that the blood was natural for women after Didac explained that she was even curious about Alba's breasts, but Alba forbade her from touching her breasts and said that Didac was not old enough to touch them. As several days passed, they still survived as best they could and their relationship became increasingly familiar with each other. It doesn't feel like they have survived together for years and the Didac has grown up. And this made Alba amazed by Didac's body. One day when Alba was watering the plants and Didac was monitoring the surroundings, Didac got a very beautiful view by watching the teacher, who was drying Didac's clothes, and felt something harden when he saw the teacher. After that, Didac decided to go to the workshop to repair the tractor and take it home, so Alba was surprised to realize that the student she had taught at school had now become a grown man who could do various things. Realizing that a rescue team would never come, The two decided to go to Barcelona to look for Alba's father. They boarded a tractor repaired by Didac so they could easily remove car wrecks blocking the road. They also stopped several times to get fuel from other vehicles. Those who were close to the city of Barcelona were very surprised because it was also destroyed by a solar storm. Finally, they decided to rest before entering the city center. The next morning, the two started to enter the city center and saw the same destruction as their residence. Alba tried to contact her father but was unsuccessful. After walking around and not finding anyone, they stopped at the stadium. Didac immediately played football there, while Alba watched while recording it. After Didac managed to score a goal, Didac celebrated while taking off his shirt in front of Alba. Alba was again amazed to see Didac's body and immediately dropped her cell phone, and they immediately kissed. Then at night, when it was drizzling, they decided to make love. Alba was very surprised by her student, who was now very strong and could satisfy her. Meanwhile, Didac didn't think that his teacher's mother was still a virgin, so they were both happy and satisfied. For several days in Barcelona, they didn't find anyone, so they finally chose to stay on the edge of the beach. A week later, Alba told Didac that she was now pregnant, so Didac was very happy because they had succeeded in procreating. While waiting for the birth of her baby, Alba continued to learn about how to give birth and raise children. Several months passed and preparations for giving birth were complete. The time came for Alba to give birth to her first child while accompanied by her lover. Finally, Alba gave birth to her child safely and named her child Kai. The next day, when Alba was breastfeeding her child, Didac asked to taste what Kai was drinking. Didac said that it was the best milk he had ever drunk. Not long afterward, they saw a sailing ship in the ocean, so Alba waved her hand for the ship to come to her. Meanwhile, Didac didn't want anyone else in his family, but Alba insisted on her wishes, so Didac took a gun just in case. Unexpectedly, they saw an old man on the beach who was still breathing, so they immediately helped him. After the wound was treated, the old man thanked him and asked permission to hug them both. The old man remembered that when his ship's engine failed and he had lowered the anchor, a huge firestorm hit him and he fell into the water. For several days repairing the ship, the man shared knowledge about shipping and agriculture with Alba and Didac. This made Alba feel that the old man was very similar to her father. One day, Didac began to be jealous of Alba's closeness to the man, and his hunch was confirmed when he caught the man peeking at Alba, who was breastfeeding. However, the old man reasoned that he only wanted to give the honey he harvested from his home island, which was useful for improving the quality of breast milk. She also said that seeing Alba's breast was a bonus. Hearing his explanation, Didac was still angry and then asked him to leave, especially since the ship had been repaired. Finally, the man obeyed Didac's orders, but before leaving, he invited Alba and Didac to a small party on the ship as a form of gratitude. Alba unexpectedly immediately agreed without asking Didac's permission first. After getting ready and boarding the ship, they also took the child with them. The three of them then watched a film so that the evening felt special. But disaster for Alba and Didac occurred in the morning when Didac realized that the ship had gone away from land, and suddenly the man hit him until he fell into the sea. Hearing the commotion, Alba came out and was shocked to see Didac drowning, so she immediately threw down the lifebuoy while jumping in to save him. But unexpectedly, the man ran away, taking their son with him. Alba and Didac were very worried about their child. They decided to return to land. They finally decided they would take their son back by making the necessary preparations for several days. The two of them looked for an island where the man might live while trying to prepare a ship and learn how to navigate. After that, Alba got a clue through a flower that usually produces honey, so they immediately rushed to the island where the flower in question grew. After everything was ready, they immediately sailed for several hours to the island, and when they arrived, there were bees that landed, and thankfully they also found the ship. Because the ship was empty, they decided to go ashore carrying rifles. Until finally they found an old building. They saw the wanted man who was out harvesting honey. The two of them immediately took the opportunity where Didac was in charge of watching over the man while Alba went downstairs to the warehouse. Her son was found locked in an iron cage, so Alba asked him to change positions so he could open the cage. However, when Didac took too long and Alba was careless in watching him, the man who saw Alba immediately attacked him while grabbing his weapon. Hearing the commotion, Didac went up. But unfortunately, both of them are now caught by the old man and are forced to obey the man's wishes. Hearing her child continue to cry, Alba begged to be allowed to breastfeed because her son must be very hungry. In the end, the man allowed Alba to breastfeed his son, but he had to supervise him. While breastfeeding in the basement, The old man was very happy because he could freely see Alba breastfeeding. Then the man returned to watching Didac. Suddenly, Alba decided to run away with her son, but unfortunately she was caught, so the man immediately chased her towards the pier. After running several tens of meters and the man getting closer, Alba stopped to hide while breastfeeding her son so as not to make a sound. Not long after, the man heard crying, and after checking he found a cell phone that was playing Kai's video, so he realized that Alba was trying to free Didac. The man immediately returned. Meanwhile, Alba tried to free Didac, but because he had been caught, he slipped a penknife into Didac's hand. When Alba was pushed, Didac, who was still weak, attacked the man. However, his attack was not optimal because Didac was still weak. Alba also picked up the gun that had fallen and pointed it at the man, but because he didn't shoot straight away, the man managed to get closer and was only shot in the shoulder, so he was still able to fight back. Seeing this, Didac immediately woke up and attacked using a hoe, but the man was able to fend it off, causing Didac to fall. The man easily managed to grab the rifle. Unexpectedly, in order to save his son, Didac decided to kill the man until he died and a gunshot was heard, but fortunately Didac was still strong and walked to hug his son. Alba, who had recovered from the impact, immediately met Didac, who then immediately fell because it turned out that his chest had been hit by a gunshot. Alba also had to become a widow because of her own mistake of not obeying her husband's words. A few years later, Kai has grown up and has the same hobbies as his father. Alba then showed Didac's video recording to her son when Didac was joking around with Alba. Alba then said that her love with her child was the beginning of human civilization. Until then, the film ends. That's the story of the film's second origin, which was released in 2015. Okay, that's all for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share wherever you like. Thank you for watching. See you in another video. I hope you are always in good health and given ease in all your affairs.